How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Tom Mods Things. On today's episode we are working back on the 106. As you may have seen on previous episode on Instagram, we have picked up some new wheels. Check out those bad boys. So yeah, it's got those all fitted up and stuff at the moment. So next job is the boot build. Now as I think I've mentioned in a couple of videos before this, we attended Gravity this year. We kind of got the rear end kind of together for what we wanted for that show. Attended the show, realised it wasn't up to scratch and we needed to redo it because there was just tons of cars there with some really sick builds, and we just got some inspiration. And as I've said previously before, you always want to try and do things better. So we are going to crack on basically and redo the whole rear end in the back of the 106. I've actually already made a start because you know what it's like. You need to just try and find time wherever you can, and so I've just been doing bits in the background here and there for an hour or so, but I haven't actually been filming it. So let's crack on and I'll give you guys a quick update of what we've been up to. So as you well know, this is the 106 build. I've got a couple of changes that we'll look at just because of obviously it's in front of me at the moment. The old cage has come out. Now this was actually never meant for a 106. It was advertised as a 106, but as soon as we put it in we realised that actually it definitely was not, because the lower mounts didn't match up to anything, and also the top of the cage had to be kind of manipulated slightly to get it to fit. So we ended up finding another cage, this one actually meant for a 106. Now this used to live in the Saxo, but we've since pulled it out of the Kingdom Saxo and chucked it into this car because we kind of wanted it in this particular build. So yeah, so that's all moved across. We've got our new maxpower air freshener, lovely vanilla scent, would you believe? But anyway, so yeah, got a few things like that stuck in. We got our Baguette Bashers stickers representing, and then as you can see through here with some of the carpentry going on at the moment, we have started to redo the whole rear end. So this is kind of where we're up to at the moment. We've kind of just been putting together a main frame to basically build out our whole rear section, so that we kind of have a lot more stiffness and a lot more area to kind of cover everything afterwards. Issue I had with the previous setup is it just didn't look finished, especially around these edges here when you had the boot up and stuff. Kind of all my wires and stuff were on show for all the rear lights, and there was kind of nowhere really to hide them sort of nicely within the build itself. So we've and ahed loads about what we actually do here. So what we are thinking, because we kind of want to make sure we use as much of the stuff that we actually have at the moment rather than having to go and buy new stuff, is we've got the original box over the back here. So we are, I think, going to be reusing this. We're going to get it in a sec and hopefully line it up with kind of the approximate position as to where we think it's going to look pretty cool. And then I'll talk you through kind of the overall idea of where we're going to put covers in. We've got a TV which is coming in the post, which is going to kind of go in here, a nice big sort of 20-inch screen which will sit there. We've got a few ideas for where the PlayStation is going to go, so I'll talk you through that in a sec, because that can be really cool if we get that to work. Very, very silly. And then we've got kind of all of our component speakers and other bits of audio barn gear sitting up there ready to go. So as soon as we've kind of got a bit more of a space in here, it'll give us a lot more opportunity to actually get the speakers in and get these ones all wired up. And then we've also won a brand new audio barn amplifier off of eBay for 50 quid, which is pretty good, to be honest. I was surprised I was the only bidder on it. So the advert wasn't particularly good and it ended at a particularly awkward time for most people, but I wanted it, so made sure that I had an alarm set to basically get in there and snipe it. So yeah, managed to sort that out, so that'll be turning up in the next couple of days or so. Might end up in this video a little bit later on if I have to do this across 2 days. But yeah, let's crack on, let's get that box in, and I will see you guys in a sec. Right, so we've manhandled this in, so let's show kind of the intention. I think it's going to give a pretty good idea as to what we're thinking of doing on this. So, obviously, as you saw with the box, this has actually kind of got a right angle on it, because previously it was kind of shooting the subs this way. What we want to do is actually turn it over as we can see it at the moment. We're probably going to lift it up just a little bit more so that this flat section here is kind of in line with the bar above it, because if you imagine there's going to be a sort of a finishing plate that sits on top of this that will come all the way to the front here, all the way down here, as we can see it. So then these subs, a little bit higher, upturned, flame subs as we can see there, so that you can see them through the back window, which I think, yeah, if you're looking through here, you'll see all the subs and stuff, that kind of gives a really good idea as to what we're trying to achieve. I reckon we've got enough space under here because we've got a battery mount somewhere. I think it's under this actually. Yeah, just down here at the moment. So we're going to get a proper split charge going on so that we can run a lot more power into these subs without running risks of French electrics, which are notoriously bad. As you can see, we've already run the cables for the relay and stuff so that there's no kind of back electricity going back into the system, so it doesn't drain the battery in the back here. It's fully isolated. So yeah, I reckon we've probably got enough space just to kind of sit this under here if this is kind of up at this point, and then this kind of comes back to the ends as we can see it here, and then it just starts to smooth out into an angle. Big 20-inch screen here so that you can play PlayStation. I reckon that's looking really, really good, to be honest. So I think what we will do now is we're just going to raise the height, see kind of how many of this kind of things we need to stack on top of one another to kind of get it up to the right height. Then we just need to work out our bracing to make sure that all of this is kind of solid, all as one. I reckon we'll kind of maybe try and screw through these side bits into here, but then we need to work out how we get the whole lot into the car, because we kind of want no rattles and stuff afterwards. But I reckon this is looking pretty good, to be honest. I reckon this is going to look awesome. So yeah, so we're going to crack on with that, get that sorted, and then I'll catch you guys when we've made a little bit of progress. Right guys, so this is where we're up to. So we've got some support sort of blocks, I guess you could call it, underneath the box at the moment. That was just to kind of hold it in place. We've got some L brackets, some metal ones on the left and, or should I say right and left hand side, just down here. Basically we just tied all this in together so that we can kind of work out some of the additional bracing that we're going to need. But the main sort of part of this was to make sure that we had everything sort of as level as possible. I think we're definitely going to remove this bracing piece that goes across the back. We'll fit more of these L brackets on the other side to tie it into these kind of upward pieces, and then we'll kind of lop the ends off of this, move it down slightly, and then we'll use this kind of top section here as the platform for our kind of finishing plate to go on. Which reminds me to kind of say what the thinking is with the PlayStation in particular. So previously we had this like 3D printed mount, so it just kind of mounted upright in the boot. What we're thinking for this is where we've kind of got this finisher piece that comes in, comes down, and we've got our kind of amps on show, kind of with some little cutouts with maybe some LED backlighting. We're thinking of putting the PlayStation over in this corner and then having a switch in the back where you flick it and there's a little hatch on the top of this, and basically the PlayStation kind of raises out of the compartment and then kind of shows itself. Really stupid, very Pimp My Ride-esque, but I mean, let's just do it, shits and giggles. Right, now this is looking absolutely sick. Ta-da! Look at this absolutely epic thing. So this is an Audio Barn 8461X amplifier. This is brand new old stock, which is absolutely epic. There are sort of a reasonable amount of these amplifiers and the other variants of this kind of float around on Facebook Marketplace and eBay sort of semi-regularly, but they tend to always be a little bit sort of rough around the edges, either sort of rusted all over the top or sort of just looking pretty miserable. So to find one new in box is pretty amazing. Now we've actually already opened this and noticed that we've got another one of these stickers. Now these are also really incredibly hard to come by. It took us ages to find the spare ones that I needed for the side of this car. Now we've also got another one, which is awesome. We'll probably keep hold of this and find a place kind of on the actual build itself that we're doing to kind of place it, but yeah, we'll wait and take a look. But yeah, look at that, absolutely amazing, immaculate condition. So before we take this out and run the risk of damaging it, what is our plan of action? So as we saw in the back of here, we've kind of got the speakers all wrapped out. Oh. And then basically we've got kind of all this space around here. Now we've got a 20-inch TV that needs to go in here as well, plus the amplifier, and I'd like it to be on show. Now I don't necessarily want to mount it here because the cabling side of things is just going to be a pain in the arse, so not fully keen on doing that. And I kind of want it properly on show in the middle, so I'm thinking of creating some bracing kind of around here to effectively mount it on top, so then when our cover plates go over the top of all of this and kind of get cut around the outside of these two bits, and then we do maybe an aperture, as I say, for the Audio Barn amp that we've just got as well, and it all gets backlit with some sort of neon glow and stuff. I reckon that's going to look pretty sick, and then we should just about have enough space to get our TV in here, so it kind of comes up, and then poof, straight across the back, which would be really cool. So plan of action there. Right guys, so we've built a little shelf. We've got the amplifier in there now. This thing's actually massive really, considering well, the size and stuff that we've actually got to play with. A 106 rear end is not actually that big, so yeah, basically it won't fit in that gap there, which is annoying. So we've got it on the shelf here. So our kind of options, at least the way that we'd kind of planned this, was to have a TV screen here, kind of at an angle, kind of looking at the space that we've actually got, and I don't know whether it's going to work. The TV hasn't turned up yet, so we can't test it. As soon as it arrives, then we can work it out. The other option is to move this and have it here instead, behind a little sort of cover plate, and then do something on the top here with a monitor that maybe comes up or rises out. But at the moment, not entirely sure what's kind of the best route. As I say, we're kind of running out of space a little bit, so we've got some wood though, so we're going to start doing some cover plates in a sec. So that's just going to be trimming it to size and then starting to kind of bolt it on places, and then we can work out what we're going to cover it with. But yeah, I think it's kind of coming together. Once all these edges and stuff are all hidden and everything's kind of mated up against everything, then we'll start to kind of see exactly what we're trying to do with this at the moment. But I think we're on something with this. I think it's going to look cool. I mean, if not, then we just do what I've been doing, which is basically just to tear it all up and start again. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have to do that. Right, next update, skipping forward just a little bit, so I'm just going to fill you in on exactly what I've done. So we had TV turn up. This is the remnants of the bits that we're not going to be using. Look at this beautiful dust. This has been in someone's caravan for years and never really been cleaned, so it's lovely. The yellowing makes me think that they were potentially smokers, which is awesome. Absolutely love that. But anyway, 10 quid off eBay. If it's 12 volt direct signal, it means it makes it way easier to fit this into a car. So you'll be wondering why the back is off, because we have basically dismantled, and forgive me for the mess at the moment, this is the workspace that I have, but effectively we were trying to fit it in here. It was way too big with this yellow thing, and didn't really want to fancy kind of painting it and stuff. I reckon we can do a much better job if we dismantle it. So what we've done is we've disconnected kind of all the power buttons and stuff, which is all on this sort of nice pressure plate type thing. I think we'll probably find a space for this kind of in the car, because it'd be quite nice and it doesn't look too bad. We can kind of tart this up, and it's all chrome and stuff, so that's probably definitely to keep, I would say. Put it up in the pile. And then we've got kind of the rear of the screen at the moment, so we've taken off the DVD drive because we're not going to need that, and basically stripped off all the bits that we're not really going to use. Probably take this antenna sort of PCB and stuff off as well, because we're not really going to be using that. The only thing we're really interested in is the HDMI, the SCART and the composites, which are on the left hand side, or right hand side as we see it on the camera at the moment. Everything else is kind of staying, and then what we are left with is a screen like this. So we've got the frame, we'll keep that, make sure it's bonded in place, because now it doesn't have the front, so as you can see it kind of is a little bit loose, but effectively we're going to use this frame. If we lift this up and bring it over here, and the idea is, if I just kind of sit that there, to kind of mount it basically like that in the back, pretty much there. We've got kind of a block just under it at the moment, but this is kind of what we're thinking. Need to make sure it clears our hook, because we don't want that going straight through the screen as it comes down. We're also going to need to do something with these speakers as well, because at the moment, I think looking at it, they kind of will sit here. But obviously that's going to be a problem when we've got a screen this big, and we do want to keep a screen this big because I think it just looks really cool. So we're going to be doing that. But from a dimensions point of view, probably maybe lift it up just a little bit. We do want a bezel that runs all the way around the outside, but it's looking pretty good, to be honest, with the amp now sat on the top as well, just to kind of get an idea of what our space requirements are. Got a battery we're going to pick up tomorrow, so we can get that plugged in and make sure that works. But yeah, I reckon that is kind of what we're sort of working with at the moment. And then PlayStation obviously going to be playing on this. We'll have it positioned in here, and we've got to work out what we're going to do with that, and sort of the cool stuff that we're going to do. We could also stick it on the top and have it all backlit and stuff, which is another possibility, and kind of a controller mount on the other side, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, so probably going to get this fixed in place for now, show you what that looks like once it's complete, and then I think that's probably it for this episode. Until the next time, basically, where we're going to start to finalise some of these mounting positions, and also get all the cover plates on, which I've made a start on one of them, but I think I'm going to have to redo it now that this screen has kind of been dismantled. Right guys, few days on, we've been absolutely hammering away at this. I haven't done a huge amount of filming just because I've been trying to fit it in and around kind of life and stuff in general. So I'm going to show you where we're up to. I think it's kind of coming together pretty well at the moment. So this is where we're up to. So I've got our amplifier in all wired up. We've got our new 6x6.5 inch component speakers with the tweeters. Ignore the fact that this is all very dusty at the moment. I've just lobbed it in here just to kind of make sure that everything is fitting. We've got our big 20-inch TV in the center there. Now don't worry about the fact that it's all trimmed as it is around the edge of this. There is going to be a fascia plate that's going to go over the top of this because at the moment this is loose, so it's screwed in with the brackets on the back, but currently the actual panel itself isn't kind of fixed in place. So once we've kind of bonded, sort of fixed a fascia piece, which will probably 3D print to go over the front of this, that is going to look great, and then we can kind of integrate like little controller mounts and stuff into it, which will look pretty cool. So as we come through here, everything, it's a little bit that's lifted there on the sort of fake leather that we've put down, so we're going to have to take that out and redo it. But yeah, all the cables all nicely hidden. We've got our subwoofers in there. We have some cables just going in at the moment. We've only got it on single voice coil. We'll have some other cables going in to make them dual voice coil. And then as we come round the side here, take a look in the back. There we go. We've got our fascia panel in there. So we've got our new 12 volt sort of system in here that's going to be on a switch. That switch is also going to control the LEDs that go around the outside of each of the subs, as well as a few of the other things that we kind of integrate into this PlayStation, various things like that. But yeah, I think this looks pretty good, to be honest. Nice and tidy. I mean, it's way better than what it was previously. We've got kind of some finishing plates that we need to put on the edges just over the back there, and we're also going to cover all this sort of surface all the way around here in the same material as well to kind of get it all to match. We've still got our edge pieces to kind of go in at the moment, but they're going to take a little bit more time, so I'm going to probably do that on a kind of next update video. I think this is probably where we're going to leave it for now, just on this video, otherwise it's going to end up being half an hour to an hour long, and no one really wants that at the moment. We want short, snappy updates. So this is where we're up to. So yeah, so I need to clear up the absolute mess that the garage is at the moment, get these fascia panels finished. I'll probably film me designing those in CAD as well, because I don't know, you may be interested in that sort of stuff too, and then once they're 3D printed we can get them on and we can crack on with the rest of it. But yes, next gonna definitely get these speakers tested. We've tested the amp, but we haven't tested the actual subwoofers plugged into them or the speakers yet, so we've got a little bit of a way to go, but it's definitely coming along and it's definitely looking better, so I'm pretty excited for where this is heading at the moment. So yeah, so cheers everyone for watching, and I will catch you all on the next one. See you later.